Hey, soccer fans, this is Nick for Sons of a Pitch Soccer Central. I am wearing my red, white, and blue today, ditching the green and black of SOP because we got the US's roster for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. We are going to do a quick reaction. It was just released a few hours ago. I was rushing home from work, ignoring my Twitter updates, all my emails, everything to make sure that I could jump in and just fully digest as much as I could before sharing my thoughts with you. We're going to take a look at all the positions, who got included, who was left off, what are some of the surprises, and what do we expect out of this group. So, without further ado, I'm going to throw up my graphic here. We're going to take a look at it. I think we're going to start with the strikers first. Everyone always starts in the back with the goalkeepers. Let's start with the strikers first. The forwards, according to the graphic here from US Soccer, are Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Josh Sargent, Tim Weah, and Haji Wright. For these forwards, there is one name that really jumps out, and that is Haji Wright. He did not play 1 minute. I don't even think he got a call up to any of the World Cup qualifying games this cycle, but he has been playing very, very well for himself overseas. And because of the complete drop off in form by Ricardo Pepi, Haji Wright gets the call up on this one. So that is why the one name that we've been used to seeing all this time is off, and we have Haji Wright on. Now, I don't expect Haji Wright to be a starter with this group. I expect him to be that we're chasing the game. It's the 70th, 75th, 80th minute. We need just someone we can find a big target, someone we can lob those long balls up to, or guys we can find on a set piece or a corner late in the game for an equalizer, or to give us some sort of change of pace, right? That is what Haji Wright is going to come in and do. Great on aerial, winning aerial balls, and a huge, big physical striker. So that is why he is there. I fully expect Jesus Ferreira and Josh Sargent to be the guys starting up top in the middle, with Morris and Pulisic, Reyna and Weah taking time on the wings. I would hope to see Pulisic and Weah starting with Jesus Ferreira as your front three, but we'll see how the matchups go between Wales and England, and if any sort of injuries or precautions of injuries come into play. So those are the forwards. Now, let's take a look at the defenders coming across the graphic here. Along the back, we are going to see a combination of Cameron Carter-Vickers, CCV, Serginho Dest, Aaron Long, Shaq Moore, Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson, Joe Scally, DeAndre Yedlin, and Walker Zimmerman. So those are the 9 guys listed as defenders that are going to be on the plane to Qatar. No surprise to see Walker Zimmerman, DeAndre Yedlin, by the way, the only player on this roster with any sort of World Cup experience. DeAndre Yedlin, the most senior player on this team as far as caps and call-ups. He's got 75 caps. And we'll get into some fast trivia a little later. We can kind of break that down. So no surprise to see Yedlin there. No surprise to see Walker Zimmerman, as well as Aaron Long. I know a lot of people have been down on Aaron Long, especially he hasn't been that same kind of player since his knee surgery a couple of years ago, but Greg Berhalter trusts him. He knows the system that they want to play, and also he held his own in qualifying and in some of the friendlies here. Did not cover himself in glory by any stretch of the imagination. I am not here advocating for Aaron Long, but he is a solid player in this group of defenders. Personally, I would like to see Zimmerman and CCV, Carter Vickers, in the middle of this defense, with Dest and Anthony Robinson playing as the outside backs. And I think that is going to be our best four. And then you can mix in Aaron Long, Joe Scally, DeAndre Yedlin as is needed to either give guys a rest as kind of injury backups. That is where I see Tim Ream as being on here as kind of the calming presence, senior veteran guy, and just someone you can plug in anywhere along that back line. He's kind of your utility defender. I wouldn't trust Tim Ream to start. I've said it on our show many times. Mike has been echoing that we are not fans of Tim Ream and we're not huge fans of Aaron Long, but they serve a purpose on this defensive roster here. So again, if it were up to me, I would put Dest and Anthony Robinson on the wing, and I would have Cameron Carter-Vickers and Zimmerman as our center backs, and that's how we would play it. Now let's take a look over on the midfield. We've got 7 midfielders on the roster: Brendan Aronson, Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams, Luca De La Torre, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, and Christian Roldan. Not too many surprises here. The old familiar faces, right? And we're really hoping, as U.S. soccer fans here, that the trio of MMA, McKennie, Musa, and Adams, are healthy and ready to go. And that those would be your 3 starters that I would pencil in. And as far as backing them up, you can put Brendan Aronson as a midfielder, but he can play all over. He's a very high energy, high pressing player. And if he gets in a midfield, quote unquote, role, because that's how he's listed here, I expect him to be much further up the field, pressuring the opposing center backs or pressuring the opposing midfielders who are trying to advance the ball. Right, I think Brendan Aronson is just going to be like a bee in the bonnet of every opposing ball carrier that's coming in his area, and I love to see it, and then spring those quick counterattacks as we can. But again, Aronson is not, in my mind, going to be starting over McKennie, Musa, or Tyler Adams, and he's not going to be starting over Pulisic, Reyna, Weah, Ferreira. So he's going to be great energy off the bench. Absolutely. Maybe he does get a start in a game if needed, but it'll be interesting to see where. Kellen Acosta, again, there's that veteran leadership in the middle, along with Christian Roldan. Acosta is the guy who knows all the head games, knows all the tricks, has been around the U.S. Camps, proved himself in Gold Cups and Nations League, did it for LAFC in the MLS Cup final, getting the goal off of a deflected free kick, and absolutely plying his trade of wasting time and getting in the ref's ear and swaying things. So Acosta is that guy every team needs to have. Is he going to make his impact felt by a spectacular goal or a beautiful assist and great set piece? Maybe. But his influence on the game will not show up on the stat sheet, and he's needed there. I love that Luca De La Torre is here. He is the backup to Yunus Musa. If Musa gets hurt or needs a rest, De La Torre's ball handling skills are going to come in handy. I don't think he's at the level of Musa. If he was, he'd be starting and probably be more of a lock. And I think a lot of other people would like to look at some other midfielders as well. Their names are escaping me, but De La Torre is a solid backup to Musa. Also, Christian Roldan is getting a lot of flack from people. Again, this is one of those culture guys, locker room guys, but also similar to Tim Ream. He's a guy that you can plug in anywhere in the midfield. In fact, pretty much anywhere on the field. And you're going to get at least a competent shift from him. Maybe not as much on the defensive end, going against guys at the international level. The talent of a footballing nation like England, or if Gareth Bale and Christian Roldan were in a one-on-one situation, I'd probably put Gareth Bale as the one with the advantage on that one. But that is how I see him fitting into this, kind of the coach on the field if he's on the field, and kind of the coach in the team when he's on the team. Finally, we're going to look at our goalkeepers here. We have on the roster, we have Ethan Horvath, Sean Johnson, and Matt Turner. This was probably one of the biggest surprises as far as who is on the roster and not on the roster, that we do not see Zack Steffen's name here. Zack Steffen, who played on the Columbus Crew for Greg Berhalter, who won him several penalty shootouts, and Greg Berhalter, who helped him get his big move overseas. Zack Steffen, who has been bought up by Manchester City, who's been training with these Premier League greats, but could not get starting minutes, who could not stay healthy through a lot of the last 2 years. And I think that is what really ended his World Cup run. Now, Greg Berhalter has been quoted as saying it was heartbreaking having to tell Zack Steffen that he's not going to the World Cup. And I can absolutely appreciate that, because Zack Steffen has been with Berhalter every step of his international coaching career, and Zack Steffen has won games for the United States, but he has not been reliable from a health standpoint, and he has not been getting consistent starting goalkeeper minutes. Now, not that Matt Turner has either, but Matt Turner doesn't look like he needs a game or two to shake off the rust the way that Zack Steffen had in some other games previously. Additionally, we have, remind myself here, Sean Johnson. Just wanted to make sure. Sean Johnson is a guy who's been in and out of U.S. camps, who I do believe has had a handful of caps, not so much in World Cup qualifying, but in other international tournaments. A guy who's an MLS Cup MVP, who's won MLS Cup, who's done it all in the domestic league here for us. And honestly, I've scratched my head as why Sean Johnson hasn't gotten any looks overseas. Maybe there have been rumors and he wants to stay stateside, wants to stay in the Big Apple. But honestly, that's a goalkeeper where, man, there should be clubs all over Europe who are looking to pick up a guy like Sean Johnson. So I don't know if Horvath or Johnson is going to be the number 2, but I would say Turner is the number 1. But I feel really good with any one of those 3 in net. They have been getting consistent minutes. I don't know if Turner's been getting a lot of starts for Arsenal. In fact, I doubt he is. But again, training at that level, staying healthy, and then coming in on some games on short notice for the U.S., he has performed very well. So once again, guys, here is the team picture that U.S. Soccer put out. A great little announcement there. And honestly, they've had a lot of great content going on over there. Here's one more time, all the names. My kind of starting lineup here, if I was going to take who is our best 11 out of this one, starting in the back, Matt Turner in goal. Our defenders, I'd like to see Zimmerman and CCV in the center, Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson on the outside backs, on the wing back positions. In the midfield, MMA, Musa, McKennie, and Adams. And then up top, scoring the goals, Jesus Ferreira, and supporting him on the wings, Christian Pulisic and either Gio Reyna or Tim Weah. I think they're gonna go with Weah just because Gio's coming back from injury. But at that, those are such fine margins between those 2 players there that I feel comfortable with either one of them starting in the front line for the United States. And that being said, everyone, that is our quick reaction to the roster. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Send us a tweet at SOP Soccer. If you like this video, if you want to see more, if you want to get more World Cup video, be sure to like and subscribe. Share the link with your friends, but send us a super chat, super thanks in the YouTube comments. Let us know that you like what we're doing, and we'll keep it coming. Stay tuned for all things World Cup 2022, MLS offseason. We have got a whole new lineup coming out at the start of the World Cup. You're not going to want to miss all the developments here at Sons of a Pitch Soccer Central.